the legendary Robin Hood and his band of merry men who battle the Sheriff of Nottingham. Hugely popular and enduring stories. But recent evidence suggests he may be more than just folklore fantasy.
Robin Hood definitely existed.
Can the evidence finally confirm the infamous outlaw and his arch rival are not just imaginary figures? Unpicking the past to reveal the identity of the men behind the myth, we open the mystery files on Robin Hood. This is Sherwood Forest, Nottinghamshire. Nestled in the centre of England, it is home to the legend of Robin Hood. Popular as ever, Robin helps to attract around 500,000 visitors every year. His adventures still spark the imagination. But his story has evolved over the centuries. And now, the genesis of his character is almost completely obscured by the folk-tale hero he has become. Searching the archives, historians have discovered multiple references to real Robin Hoods. Graham Phillips has spent years investigating medieval documents.
The legend of Robin Hood probably brought about more books, poems and films and television series than any other character in English history. To try and find a real Robin Hood, then what you've really got to do is to find the earliest reference to Robin Hood, whether it's fictional or in historical records.
Robin Hood's legend first appears in the Middle Ages. Few people can read, so stories are spread by minstrels singing ballads. They tell of the outlaws Robin and Little John, living free in the forest, fighting the evil Sheriff of Nottingham. It's a time of poverty and oppression, and the people take Robin to their hearts. There are few written accounts of Robin's deeds, but two of the early ballads that have survived hold clues to his identity. It's called The Little Jest of Robin Hood. In this narrative, Robin has a hometown. Most people think Robin comes from Nottingham, but it recounts how he's from the neighbouring county of Yorkshire.
At the end of The Little Jest of Robin Hood, we're told that he's been wounded and he's taken to a priory called Kirklees Priory. Little John takes him there in the hope that he'll be cured by the abbess. But she betrays him, and what she does is, partly treating his wounds when they used to have bloodletting, she bleeds him to death.
Kirklees Priory is a real place, and it is in Yorkshire. According to The Little Jest, this is the gatehouse where Robin dies. This is believed to be the window where he shot his last arrow. He asks Little John to bury him wherever it lands. And within the priory grounds, there is a mysterious grave.
If you look at the inscription, it's got an oldie English type inscription telling us that Robin Hood was buried here. But the problem is, this is clearly a stylized way in which 19th century romantics thought that oldie English was written. It's not genuine. It was put there in the 1800s.
The text on the headstone is a forgery. The grave is also over 600 metres from the gatehouse. Too far for a longbow shot, even from an alleged medieval master bowman like Robin Hood. But historians have uncovered a period illustration, revealing that a Robin Hood may once have been interred in these grounds.
There is evidence that there was a grave there before the current one that was put there in the 1800s. In fact, as early as the 1600s, people make reference to a grave being there.
Drawn in 1665, it depicts an earlier burial, now replaced by the fake tomb.
On that grave it said, "Here lies Robert Hode." Robin is actually a nickname for somebody called Robert, and Hode, H-O-D-E, is one of the old spellings of Hood. So yes, we do know there was early grave there belonging to a Robin Hood.
The little jest tells how Robin dies in Yorkshire. The ballads also connect him to Nottingham and Sherwood Forest. But there is documented evidence to suggest that a real Robin Hood not only died, but actually lived in Yorkshire. The county has archives dating all the way back to the Middle Ages, and one place in particular, called Wakefield, records a Robert Hood. In these ancient rolls is proof that a Robin, or Robert, Hood did exist.
This dates from the year 1309. And here we have two references here to Robert Hood of Wakefield. Now, this is written in medieval Latin, but we have here a translation made by the Yorkshire Archaeological Society, and we can see clearly here the first reference says, "Robert Hode drew blood from the wife of Henry Archer, and for this he was fined 12 pence. So he's already a bit of a villain in 1309.
Robert Hode appears a total of 20 times for petty crimes like fighting and poaching, right up to 1322. Robert of Wakefield is a strong candidate for a real Robin Hood.
Who was Sheriff of Nottingham at the time of Robert Hood of Wakefield in the 1320s? Well, it was a man called Henry de Falkenberg. And he was, interestingly, not only Sheriff of Nottingham, but Sheriff of Yorkshire as well.
Henry de Falkenberg spans both Yorkshire and Nottingham, and there is reason why Robert of Wakefield might have hated him.
Henry was something, in his younger days, of a scoundrel. He was something of a poacher turned gamekeeper. And in fact, the Wakefield rolls mention him 4 times getting into trouble at pretty much the same time as Robert Hood.
The town is small. With Robert of Wakefield and Henry committing felonies at the same time, they could once have known each other as equals.
I think with Henry de Falkenberg, we have a real good candidate for the Sheriff of Nottingham, because he is somebody who could have had great rivalry with the most likely candidate, in my opinion, for Robin Hood.
Although romanticized in the ballads, elements of the stories tally with factual accounts in the lives of these historical characters. The adventures of these men are now celebrated as part of the constantly evolving legend of Robin Hood, one of the classic tales of good versus evil.